So it's Tuesday today, we got 3 more days until Friday, and that's when episode 3 releases. The Bad Batch has been somewhat of a surprise to most of us. We thought that we don't need a Bad Batch series, but here we are. We are anticipating every single episode, at least most of us. I don't know if I can speak for all of you guys, but for me it was great to see Kamino post Order 66. It is something that we have seldom if not ever seen in canon mostly. So we got to revisit Lama Su, who was mostly in charge of Omega, as we saw in episode 1, The Aftermath. Naturally, since they escaped, episode 2 moved completely away from Kamino, and it is not quite clear if they will ever return to Kamino again. As it seems right now, they won't probably, but who knows, we'll get to see what happens towards the ending of this series. We're hoping maybe a season 2. If this continues, then things could be even more interesting for the future. But in episode 1, it was Lama Su who actually helped the Bad Batch escape Kamino. They escaped from not only Crosshair, but the clutches of the Empire by holding the bay doors from closing. At the end of episode 1, 4 out of 5 troopers, unfortunately, with the exception of Crosshair who defects completely from the Bad Batch and joins the Empire, they flee Kamino by blasting their way out. But the planet's Prime Minister, Lama Su, and Lama Su also had a very big hand in the Bad Batch's successful escape. So most of us might remember Lama Su, the Prime Minister, from Attack of the Clones. As Obi-Wan finds out, the Kaminoans were employed to create an army for the Republic. Well, the episode Aftermath opens with the success of Order 66. Well, the episode titled Aftermath, of course, opens up with the aftermath of Order 66, the death of General Grievous, and the ending of the Clone Wars. Things don't get rolling, however, until Admiral Tarkin gets in. He arrives on Kamino and explains to Lama Su that Emperor Palpatine sees the financing of a clone army to be an unnecessary venture anymore because non-clone soldiers can be recruited at half the cost. Here it is implied that Kamino has profited very much over the creation of the clones, and now with the Republic gone, this business venture might come to a horrible end. In an attempt to prove Kamino's value to the Empire, Lama Su showcases Clone Force 99, one of the rarest clones and most esteemed products that they have to offer. It is then that Tarkin sees them in a high-intensity training session, and he is impressed with their skills, but he doubts their intentions, since he suspects they did not carry out Order 66, and that's exactly how things were. Once he finds out the real truth on Onderon and their entanglement with Saw Gerrera, this is where their entire plan goes berserk. Clone Force 99 attempts to escape Kamino with the help of Omega, a young clone who's defective too, but they're only able to free the ship from the hangar because Lama Su prevents the bay doors from closing. This is where it gets interesting because once she goes on to report to their escape to Lama Su, the Prime Minister decides not to inform the Empire about Omega and about the Bad Batch. It's a curious move, but Lama Su is actually playing it very smart. If he tells Emperor Palpatine about the secretive nature of Omega, something that they obviously did not report fully to the Empire, then this relationship might come to an end. And furthermore, Lama Su even makes his intentions clear. Unlike the Empire, he feels that Tarkin is performing double speak at this moment. He is not making his intentions clear, and therefore the same thing will happen with Lama Su. The Prime Minister is keen on keeping quiet. First, Lama Su informs him that the inhibitor chip augmentation of Crosshair had gone very successfully. However, Clone Force 99, together with Omega, had escaped. This is when Lama Su tells Lama Su that until the Empire makes their intentions clear, then they will keep quiet. Keeping quiet could mean a lot of things. Tarkin was there to see the chip augmentation. This is how they proved to Tarkin that these clones, even the defective ones, could be made uber obedient. They could be made to super soldiers, proving to the Empire their worth. At the same time, however, they're keeping secretive, I think, about Omega. You see, Omega is the key to all of this, and furthermore, we still have no idea, even in episode 2, when Cutler Quain asks Hunter about about Omega's powers, Hunter doesn't really know what they are, and neither does the audience as much. We know that she is cognitive, she is kind of hinted at being force sensitive. It's a mixed bag right now, but we're leaning towards Jedi DNA infused into Omega. She could feel more than other clones could, reminiscent of Jedi. As far as Nala Se helping the Bad Batch escape together with Omega, well, I think it's made pretty clear. Even Nala Se is keeping it a secret to Lama Su himself that she was the one involved in their escape. If you watch the episode again, she clearly does not divulge that information to Lama Su. She only tells him that unfortunately Clone Force 99 has escaped together with Omega, but does not let it be known that she was the one who held the bay doors open for them. The reasoning for this, I think, is very clear because Nala Se, once she saw what Tarkin did to Crosshair, the inhibitor chip augmentation, then the love that she felt for Omega prevented her from letting Omega stay another day on Kamino. She knew that ultimately even Omega will be subjugated to the Empire's will, and who knows to what extent that might lead. I think she grew fond of Omega, more so than anybody else, because Nala Se and Omega were inseparable if you watched that episode. Kaminoans will not only fear a closing of a business relationship, but also a punishing one as well. It is not out of the possibility that with the escape of the Bad Batch, Emperor Palpatine and Tarkin will use that as an excuse to destroy Kamino, similar to how they destroyed Dak City as well. This is why Lama Su decides to keep the news that the Bad Batch has escaped close to his chest, because it is a powerful move to play, basically, not showing your hand, especially if he intends to use the 4 remaining defective clones as a surprise card, as having something under his sleeve. With an empire that benefits not just himself but his whole planet's best interests. One of the other possibilities, though, is that Lama Su might want to bring back Clone Force 99 back to Kamino so that he can continue his experimentation without the empire being in the middle. The experiments performed on Crosshair, for example, in the Bad Batch, did make him far more obedient, and Lama Su might be planning to detain the remainder of the Bad Batch group and manipulate all their chips, transforming them into the perfect weapons to be sold to the Empire. Kind of uber clones, if you want to say so, because it is very much apparent by the ending of episode 1 that Crosshair is now the superior clone out of all of them, basically. He was the sniper shot, he was the most tactical out of all of them, and they barely escaped by the skin of their teeth. Imagine doubling the powers of the entirety of the Bad Batch group. They could be twice as fearful and powerful. It's interesting that Lama Su and Nala Se, for that matter, are not those kind of Star Wars characters that could be defined as good or evil. They went through with Palpatine's plan, but this does not make them inherently evil, but also not good as well. It makes the guessing game very much difficult when it comes to Lama Su, because we don't know to what side he falls. Kamino is very much a neutral state. They're not the good guys and they're not the bad guys at the same time. At least it's in my opinion. I mean, it varies from person to person. You might think that they're completely evil, but in any case, he wouldn't let clones as valuable as the Bad Batch escape without them being tracked. So there's another possibility that Lama Su might just be observing the group very closely until he can make his play once more and finish this off. This is why probably he is keeping all news away from the Empire. He wants to deal with the Bad Batch himself. It's going to be a very interesting turn of events, to say the least, and episode 3 might shine a very bright light into all of this. I think, though, it might be very early. Episode 3 should show us either what their future plans are or a meeting with Captain Rex finally, where they can hash out everything and leave no doubt that the Empire is now changing things for good, and Order 66 was something that the clones simply could not partake if it wasn't for the inhibitor chip. This is hopefully what's going to lead to a lot of other characters being reintroduced, such as Wolf and Gregor, maybe even Commander Cody. I can't wait to talk about those characters more during future videos. So guys, let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think will happen in episode 3? Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.